Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
There we go. Something a little bit different this week. I thought I'd stop the music first. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
Greetings, programs. I'm Jake, and we are joined today by Tori, who in the chat it says Tori Mordheim, so that's pretty rad.
Nice.
It's my unofficial last name now, I guess. I'm the Mordheim guy.
That's awesome. Super cool. So, we've got Duran Buckley, who is here to chat with us about Mordheim. Talk us about the game, the community, the way that the community has kept this game alive despite zero support from Games Workshop over the last, 15 years, 18 years?
Something close to that.
Yeah, something close to that. So I think I'm always really excited about games that the community keeps alive. The community is passionate about, keeps the spirit rolling, and this is one that definitely fits that bill. 25 years ago, 1999 was when it was released. I think it was it October, late September, early October?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Thereabouts. So we kind of wanted to hit around.
It was their seasonal release, if I recall correctly.
Yes, it was. So everybody got more time for Christmas. Definitely.
That box was rad. The original box was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that artwork. I've seen so many people have that framed. That artwork. It's just, it's classic.
Yeah. I must admit I didn't grab that. I should have grabbed that piece of artwork to show, but I've got the book cover that we'll bring up later. But that's something else that we'll talk about during it. Is talk about the art and the way Thomas Perrinen and John Blanche worked together to create the wild, grimdark setting. Really, not necessarily the primogenitor of grimdark, but one of the important steps.
Yeah, I think it was the first time they really kind of like drilled in. Because like in the army books and stuff, you got a little bit of like this is what the world is like, and this is what the empire is, and this is what the different duchies are, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then, but you didn't really get a lot of the nitty gritty, like, hey, here are some folks living in a small town in the middle of the empire, and they got to really like kind of go wild. It was like, yeah, whatever you guys want, and they were kind of able to make up what the buildings look like and the local constabulary and like what the people are like. Like, it was just kind of, it was a cool kind of like focus in on a very like what would essentially be a random cross section of country life in the empire, sort of
It's sort of
like Black Forest equivalent. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think famously, Thomas has talked about this a lot in other interviews, but I think it was the first GW game at the time where they kind of let the art team have free reign. I think the expectation back then was like, you do your art and someone's looking over it and it's making sure it's like cohesive as a product. But this time for Mordheim, they were like, just go hog wild and put all the random crap you can think of in there, or like whatever twisted stuff you can think. And it's definitely in that book. There's so much wild stuff in there. But yeah, it's definitely stood the test of time. People are getting that stuff tattooed like all over their bodies. It's even today.
It also had like an unintended consequence, or maybe it was intended, who knows, with John Blanche. So I think a lot of the stuff that they put in Mordheim for like witch hunters and all that stuff had like a mirror effect in 40K with the Inquisitor stuff that came out years later. But you could see a lot of the stuff that they were kind of laying down. You can see a lot of those parallels. Like, you know, the design team later on was like, what if we put that in 40K? Like, but you can see, you're like, well, they took that from Mordheim. Like, that's where they got the idea from. So,
yeah, absolutely. Quickly in the chat, I'm not sure if Mike is still with us, but I know that Mike posted his first comment quite a while ago. But Luis is here, David's here, Josh Sawyer, welcome back, Josh. Chris Kemig is here, Cal, Scott Radham, fantastic. And
Nice.
Josh said, yeah, it's such a great game and boxed experience. Yeah, for sure. Grabbing that, busting that out straight out of the box was definitely a cool thing. Jake, how's your week been?
see my girls all snuggled up.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what are they doing over there?
I don't know what
I'm good. Things are good. I'm still recovering from my wisdom teeth. I got wisdom teeth out on Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
So that was not great.
Did you get all four?
No, I got this one, and this one. So I still have this one. This one's like under the gums, and they were like, well, if it hasn't come up, it's not gonna, so we're not gonna worry about that one. And they just pull out these three. So
Right.
It's not
but it was not great. So I have not had a ton of hobbying to do. I was, like we talked about last weekend, I was at Granite State Comic Con. This weekend I basically recovered from getting wisdom teeth pulled. I did bring home like I've decided to start clearing out a lot of my extra hobby stuff, like stuff that I know I'm never going to get to. So I pulled out my entire Magic collection and I'm sorting that upstairs to basically thin down. I'm going to keep probably 10 or 15% of it. I'm going to sell a huge chunk of it that I know is worth money. And the rest of it, I'm just going to turn into bulk that either it'll go into the bulk boxes at work or I'll, like, give out to friends of mine or whatever. And then after I'm done with that, and I've already talked to some of the guys in here about that, I'm going to clear out a bunch of my 40K stuff. Like, again, I'm not getting rid of any of my armies or anything or any projects I'm working on, but I have so much stuff that I'm like, I am never going to touch that. I don't need it. Like, Dave and I were talking about, was it David who wanted this stuff? I have like a bunch of or Steven maybe. I have a bunch of ton of old models, like old metal Terminators. I have the original metal Grey Knights, stuff like that. So I'm kind of doing a purge. Instead of a spring cleaning, I'm kind of doing a fall purge kind of thing. So
Nice. Excellent. We'll have to talk and make sure that if any certain things pop up that you...
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I want to make sure that these are like, nothing's going in the trash. These are like rescue pets. I want to make sure they all go to a good home. So
nice. Fantastic. How about you, Tori? What have you been up to this week?
We've been playing a lot of War Master lately. A lot of War Master, like a sickly amount of War Masters. So we started our Mighty Empires campaign this weekend, which I'm super stoked about. So I'm actually working on a bunch of. I'm the loner army guy. I have like 6 armies, and no one wants to paint gigantic War Master armies, so I'm painting them all and blending them out. And yeah, just getting some like random terrain pieces done. Like I really want to do a. I don't know if you've played the Total Warhammer games, but they have those battles in the Underway where like the dwarves are fighting goblins underground in the holds, and I want to make a board for that, a War Master board for that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's like all underground.
War Master would be the fantastic scale for that too.
Yeah, totally. It's gonna have like big, big crevasses and like bridges you can fight over. So yeah, that's gonna eat up a lot of my time this week. I just want to knock that sucker out. Although with the weather we've been having in Maryland, it's hard to get anything done outside, any spray painting or anything like that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think. Fingers crossed we'll have a couple of weeks coming up where it's not too wet.
Yeah.
There's some weather systems coming up in the next couple of weeks that are supposed to be low pressure, so it should push a lot of the moisture out. So you should be able to go out and get some priming done.
Get cracking. Yeah.
Well, this is the like squirrels and stuff for hobbyists. This is like I get to build stuff and prime it so I can make it through the winter with projects. Kind of like this is that phase.
Yeah, it starts piling up by your like front door. Like, okay, when there's a nice day, just carry all this crap out in like a box. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Dave? What have you been working on?
How
many armies did you finish this week?
Well, none. I got started on this painting up this lady.
Oh, nice. That's from what? Cool. That's from the box?
It's from Curse City. She's originally from Curse City, but I turned her into a Inquisitor.
Nice.
So she's going to be my radical Auto Xenos Inquisitor. So she'll have like the Jacaro and the Kroot and all that sort of thing in her warband.
Are you the new Jacaro you painted? The gibbon from the Beast Hunters or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that guy.
Did
they only do one Curse City box, or did they ever do expansions for that?
They did. They did some rules expansions and some card stock stuff. They didn't do any miniature expansions for it. Yeah. But so got a little work done on that. But my wife went away for a week. She went off to the beach. She was relaxing on the beach, which is good for her. Definitely cool. But I mean, I was looking after my daughters. We did a lot of horse stuff. My youngest daughter is big into horses, so we went to 2 horse shows, which took up a lot of time. Show prep as well. Loads of cool stuff. But I was telling Tori before the show that I am in
nice
absolute crunch mode. I've got 2 weeks to make sure everything's sort of finished up for the 3 books, the volume 10, 11, and 12. So this is Romans.
Oh, there's your sneak peek, folks. Make sure you guys pause it. Dude, that's so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little
the Frazetta Death Dealer. I love that.
Yeah.
Little Viking action.
Yeah, Roman's pretty good.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
unreal. I haven't seen that one before.
So some gorgeous stuff in there, which I'm really excited about. Speaking of, no, sorry, I don't have it. This piece. Check out that piece.
Tilt it towards you a little bit. There we go.
Oh,
what the heck? I can't really see what it is.
It's called it's titled The Garden of Nurgle.
Okay.
So it has loads and loads and loads of incredible Nurgle models in there. It's just this profusion of Nurgle life, which is pretty wild. So yeah, that's what I've been focused on, kind of hobby-wise, I guess.
That's hobby. I would say hobby adjacent.
Yeah.
It's definitely hobby adjacent, without doubt. It's hobby forward.
I mean, there's a lot of hobby stuff there, but the work you're doing, the editing part, is not really hobby.
Not so much the hobby stuff, but no. So doing that, I've got working hard on Sam's and Joshua's as well. But it's been super cool working with those guys. They're always very enthusiastic and have a lot of different cool ideas and paths that we've been able to explore. So I am super excited about that.
Had a couple new people jump on.
Oh, cool. Excellent. So Mike is still here, which is great. Welcome, Mike. Forge of Wonders says, after meeting you fellows at Nova, this is my first live viewing of the show. Awesome. Welcome. Nicholas Beard. Is that Mr. Mordheim?
It's Dr. Mordheim.
Dr. Mordheim. Mr. Dr. Mordheim.
Yeah.
Awesome. Brett Abbott has joined us. Hi, Brett. Fantastic.
He hasn't spent 20 years playing a dead game to be called Mr. Thank you.
I'm still paying my loans back.
Awesome. Scott says you don't need to worry about weather and priming if you join the Airbrush Master Race. Absolutely.
Sure.
Stalker Friend is here. The way that is the famous in Mordheim. Fantastic. Yes, Nicholas Beard said that volume is gorgeous. It is. It's beautiful stuff. Really exciting to work with Roman. Glad I got to do that. Super cool. And Dave Humble says space is cleared on the shelf for those. And Josh says that he used that Cursey model as a mind-locked weird for Necromunda. Very cool.
Nice.
And Richard Ralph has joined us. Welcome.
Nice. Welcome.
Cool. Okay, should we jump into some of the other stuff that we usually do, and then
for sure
pile into Mordheim.
Sounds good.
Plummet into Mordheim like a weird stone comet.
Yeah, with a sharpened silver stake and a lit torch, I will.
We'll dive head first. Okay, we'll get this ready, and we will jump in and talk about it. Sharing screen.
Your Dr. Friend says, "Don't be embarrassed. You brought this on yourself." By the way, Dr. Mordheim.
He's not wrong.
Awesome.
He's not wrong.
Fantastic. Okay, first up, of course, we always love to thank our sponsor, the Army Painter. And on the Army Painter, so if you go to thearmypainter.com, check out their blog. They have a new color conversion chart. So you can compare your War Paints Fanatic paints to those of other ranges. I think what Tyler said there, you're not alone. Gamers everywhere making the switch thanks to performance and coverage. Our team of painters has hand-swatched the original formula and some other popular ranges with this conversion chart.
That's pretty cool.
So you'll be able to check out what Moondust looks like in the old range and what Moondust looks like in the new range and what it's closest to from other companies. But yeah, definitely cool there.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about both ranges is how easy it is to switch. So we were talking last week, like when I knocked out Guardian, I was switching back and forth between the Fanatic range and the Speed Paint range. And Alan Panicle, friend of the show, who's an artist, has decided that he's going to get into miniature painting. Again,
awesome.
As an artist, he does a lot of digital art and visual art, but he doesn't really do a lot of miniature painting. So kind of showed him how to do it and walked him through it. And he saw us doing a little bit at San Diego and then actually got his hands dirty at Granite State. And now he just ordered the Fanatic Most Wanted and the Speed Paint Mega Set.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a solid way to start. I think that'll take care of you for a bit.
Okay. Be covered for an eternity with those.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they do a great job with those sets. Like they're easy top 3 recommend for me, especially for the cost.
Yeah.
The new range 2 is just killer. It's killer. I haven't tried a bunch of them, but I picked up a bunch of Nova and I love the metallics so far. Like,
are you using the regular metallics or the Speed Paint metallics?
The regular ones. I've heard good things about the Speed Paint metallics also.
The regular ones are cool. There's some awesome colors. we learned part of the reason that their coverage is so good is like most metallics have aluminum powder in them, but theirs also have oh god,
it's a bit of a mix of mica flake.
Yeah, there's mica. Yeah, most of them have mica flake. Theirs also have aluminum powder, so you get like that shimmer that mica flake gives you in most people's metallics, but then you get that really nice smooth like liquidity to it that you get because of the aluminum powder.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But the speed paint metallics are, I'm every time I touch them, I'm blown away how good they are. Like they're like cheating. You just paint it on, and you can tilt swords and stuff so it'll pool, so you can get like really cool effects. Like it's just a really 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 neat product.
And you put them over in white, right? The same way regular speed paints work.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you don't have to, but yeah, I mean, I usually do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll add it to my list. I
know. So Nicholas Beard has asked tips on yellow with these paints.
Use the yellow. That's the tip. It's if you're using the speed paints, I would put it over something light. Like it doesn't have to be white. You could use like Brain Matter beige or like either of the Citadel undersprays, the gray or the bone color. But I think you're going to get a better coverage and more true tone if you put it over white. The speed paints are incredible. In terms of the other paint, you can put that over anything. You'll get good coverage over any color.
That's what I'm going to recommend.
Oh, if you want to do the old school like layering level, yeah, like if you tone up with anything, you're always going to get better coverage. But
so starting with I start with fur brown, like a fur brown Phoenix yellow mix, and we're going up to the demonic yellow.
Yeah, the flexible triad system is really cool too. Dave, hold those back up again.
Oh, sorry.
So anybody looking at these at home, if you see like turn one slightly sideways. Now the other side. I want to see the little color bar thing.
Oh, the color bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you say? There we go.
All right. So for everybody seeing that little like sort of health bar looking thing, so that's their triad system. So in this, if you go all the way to the left, they have it more of a brown tone, and that's why Dave picked for brown. If you go all the way to the right, that's like the really high end yellows, like the demonic yellow and the one that's above that. I forget what it's called. But you can flex them as far as you want. So when we were talking to Caleb at the show, Caleb does the flexible triad, but he flexes it out as hard as he can. So he'll go all the way to the left on one paint and take the darkest shade, and then he goes all the way to the right on the lightest paint, and then he picks a tone in the middle. So you get that low, medium, like super high. But again, the triad system just makes it really, really easy when you're picking out your tones. It just makes it, even if you're not like somebody who's painted forever and you understand like the 3-step process, it's just really easy to pick up a bottle and go, oh, what color should I get? And on the bottle, it tells you.
Yeah.
So
that'll make it easy. Cool. So hopefully that's helped. Big thumbs up there from Nicholas. Okay, next up, I'm just going to remind folks, we mentioned this last week and the week before. So the Sergeant Sawyer charity figure from Warlord Games, there's a link in the notes below. You can go and check that out.
That's for Paul Sawyer, or Fat Bloke, as some of you may know him from White Dwarf, who now is one of the owners at Warlord Games. That is to raise money for his family to help him out.
Well, this one actually, the sales of this, all proceeds go to a brain cancer.
Right. That he has picked.
Yeah. So definitely go and check that out, and grab yourself a copy of that. Then, there we go. Press the right button, Dave. Just quickly before we jump into this, so Alan has joined us from New Zealand. Says it's school holidays, got the week off, running the business. Kids are out with granddad, and I'm assembling Old West buildings. All in all, a good day. Fantastic. Scott says, I will never use the triad system. I'll never forgive them for running my family out of Hong Kong. One day I'll go back and take my revenge and gain my honor. Till then, no triad.
Wow.
Excellent. Family kid need money for karate lessons. That's a classic sign there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mordheim. That's what we're here to talk about this week.
Dude, this takes me back. This is so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I quite apart from the fantastic typography for Mordheim, there would get the classic, very much a woodcut kind of feel. This
Like
book,
that could be a Swedish black metal band.
oh, for sure, definitely.
Like that on a T-shirt. Like this is the T-shirt.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. And I forgot not sending this earlier to you, Dave, but there is actually a hidden Mordheim logo underneath that one in one of the Broheim PDFs. The original one that I think it was Jeff Taylor wrote on the book, like on the art.
Oh wow.
I can probably pull it up and send it to you here in a second.
Yeah.
We can look at it afterward.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. I was going to say with this one, so in German, so everybody think Mordheim is probably German, but like City of the Dead or Dead City is actually Mordheim.
Yeah, it'd be a T.
So yeah, I got the T instead of the D. So I have a T-shirt that I got from one of the German guys that has Mordheim, 1999. But yeah, so 1999, Mordheim is released. This book cover is very different to all of the other rulebook covers that have been released by Games Workshop up to this point. And it's very much that.
Yeah, there's no red on it.
Yeah, this is true.
Well, it's funny you say that. I just sent the original book cover over to Dave, and it's on a red. Like the background of the text is in red.
In red. Okay, nice.
It was on brand for that moment. Maybe
there we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Right. I think this Mordheim also has a, well, certainly when it appears in other places, it has a little bit of like a rusty red sort of key line around it.
Yeah.
But no, fantastic. I keep going to press that. So Tori, tell us a bit about the background of Mordheim. What was the story that was being portrayed when or being presented to us?
Yeah. So obviously there's a much greater story than I can put in like a crude summarization, but the TLDR is that the city of Mordheim was a very bustling, kind of like elegant city with a lot of trade going on, and with all of that came a lot of what you consider like dirty doings and black market dealings. And it became a city of lust and greed. And at some point, a twin-tailed comet came and destroyed the city. And what you see on the map here is the pit, and that's where the comet came and landed and blew up a majority of the city there. So now the base of the game where you actually play it is in the ruins of the old city, and warbands come to grab shards of this comet, which has been rendered valuable for like magical properties, or everyone around the Warhammer world wants it. So you've got gangs of mercenaries and Skaven and all these other factions wanting to take shards of the comet for their own reasons. So like these guys are saying, it's a very grim, dark setting. You're in a destroyed city with lots of fantastical and weird characters roaming around, like undead town criers and random beasts that have mutated from weird stone. That's the stone that came with the comet. So yeah, I mean, that's a quick, crude summarization of the setting. But again, there's a lot more that's explained in the book, and there's a little bit more like backstory. And the author, Thomas, has actually come out recently in the past couple of years and even added on to the story things that weren't in the original book. And I'm sure he's got way more in the back of his mind that he's never released. And I'm sure people bug him about it endlessly to kind of like continue it on.
No doubt. Yeah. So I think in the timeline of the old world, at the time, the standard old world was like 2500, something like that. So at the time of Karl Franz, who was the emperor of the empire, Mordheim is set in that like 1999, 2000,
right?
Not only in the real world, but in the Warhammer Fantasy World setting. So it was playing on that Y2K paranoia that was going on. That concern, what's going to happen when the clock strikes midnight? Nobody knows. Could be
Yeah.
great, could be fine, could be the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually tied a bunch of cool things into the game itself, since it's set 500 years previously to Warhammer Fantasy. Like black powder is a little bit more crude, so it's a little bit more rare. The colleges of magic, I don't think, had been founded yet, so magic was even a little bit more rare in Mordheim too. So yeah, they did such a great job tying it to real life stuff, but then also tying it to the fantasy element. Like it's all encompassing on so many fronts.
Yep, absolutely. I know one of the things I really love about it was something that like Jake was talking about before as well, is that the low fantasy aspect of it. Obviously, you've got the high fantasy element of an enormous weird warpstone comet, like slamming into the city, and there being a bunch of mutants and chaos worshippers and all that sort of stuff. But it was very much low fantasy. It was that gritty Scrabble, like hard Scrabble for survival.
Yeah.
Mixed with the people nailing fish to their shields.
Yeah. if you played,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, for people who are unaware, if you've ever seen any Mordheim material, like anywhere you look, you will see fish. There's fish everywhere, and there's a reason for that. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like a pseudo like religious tie-in with like religious reason from Thomas. I don't remember the exact details. I remember if you guys remember, but
no,
yeah, that's a funny.
I don't.
Yep. But no, it's definitely a wonderful aspect that I loved about it. Oops. There we go. So we mentioned earlier, we talked about the cool box set. This isn't exactly the contents, but there's a lot of the contents of the box set there. The Skaven gutter runners, or they were night runners.
I think they're night runners.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Empire Militia box sets were two box sets that were the core of this box, and then went on to be important parts of the Skaven army and the Empire army.
Yeah, we were trying to remember yesterday if this kit was made for Mordheim, and I believe it was, right? And then they ended up releasing it for Fantasy to become the Free State Militia.
Yeah. So originally it was just the sprue of 10 guys, and then that became 20 in the box set.
Right.
The Empire box set. But yeah, I actually had at some point ended up buying a lot of those sprues, and I still have a bunch of them.
They're worth cash money now. I mean, those boxes go for, I've seen them go for like 120 on eBay, new in box for 20 guys. They're definitely sought after.
That's wild.
Dude, this takes me back. The only thing missing is like Goblin Green bases, but like the square, what is this, 15 or 20 mil?
Yeah, they'd be 20s.
20 mil square bases, and like the Free Guild dudes and like the Skaven. I mean, those Skaven were literally exactly the same until the new Skaven release that happened like 3 weeks ago. Like those Skaven have not changed.
Yep.
Yeah, I think those bases, especially in this, were controversial, right? Like, weren't these some of the first that were not painted Goblin Green?
Yeah. Yep. If you go back to actually no, some of the first were the Gorka Morka.
Yeah.
Pieces.
And I think they used this, if I remember correctly, and Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the mentality was that because you're not playing Warhammer or Warhammer Fantasy, like that was okay because they're not part of an army game.
Yeah, it was kind of that sort of thing. I know. I remember back to the release of Necromunda in '95, where it was still Goblin Green bases on all of the studio models, even though there were none of them. Nobody living on Necromunda had ever seen grass.
Right.
But yeah,
that was either fungus or slime in their case, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, yes, textured like the same as rolling green fields. But No, the buildings here though aren't the buildings from the box set, the cardboard buildings, but they're very similar in style. It's that sort of half-wooded Tudor kind of look. But I think these buildings do include some window frames. You can see on the side there. I don't know whether these were plastic ones from a sprue or if they were metal ones that were sold through mail order.
Those middle ones on the left do look like the metal.
It's like this one. We find.
Yeah, that one does to me. Then the other ones look like from the plastic kit.
But it was great. There was enough terrain in there to get you that ruined city kind of feel. Move your models around, get some elevation with your bows or your slings, and really get into that sort of detailed 8-10 models aside kind of warband game.
Back in the day where nobody made terrain.
Yes.
No one. It was not a thing. You had to make it yourself. There was White Dwarf articles about how to make buildings.
You mean no companies made? Like,
correct. Yeah. It's not
sold
something you could go out and get.
Yeah. I mean, a Mordheim table is a lot of work too. Like you need a pretty decent amount of terrain for it, you know?
Yep.
I remember a buddy of ours, like literally thought he had like somehow and this is before the Matrix, but somehow figured he had like somehow hacked the world. I remember he went somewhere and they had like those little Christmas village houses that you can get to set up like Christmas dioramas. And he bought there were a bunch of them that were damaged at the place he was working. He was working at like the Hallmark store or like something. And like, they had a bunch of them that were damaged. And he was like, what are we doing with these? And they're like, we're throwing them away. And he was like, can I take them? And they're like, yes. So he repainted them all and used them as Mordheim buildings. And we were like, these are great. And he's like, yeah, like I bought a bunch of these like diorama pieces. And we were like, oh, how much are they? And if you were buying them new at the time, they were all like ceramic and like decorative pieces. They were like 30 or 40 bucks a pop. And you plug them in and they lit up like Christmas ornaments. And they were crazy expensive, but because they were damages at his work, he just got them all for nothing and then painted them.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
But yeah, we were all like, this is amazing. This is the coolest looking table ever.
Awesome. Alan says, my club still has a building that I made out of foam card from Mordheim back in 99.
Nice.
That's great. Scott says, nostalgia is real. I have an old sealed Grom the Paunch on eBay right now. Let's go.
Nice.
Time to cash out, man.
Yep.
Aner the Twilight. Is it Aner the Twilight?
Yeah.
I had that single blister that I bought when I worked for the company and painted him up as a D&D like elf and was like, this model's the best. That model is still great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this was another game where GW could put all of their sculptors on it. Different sculptors could do different pieces. They could, if they wanted to get something out quick, they could get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different dramatis personae, special characters basically out there. But actually, sorry, I'm going to stop and take a step back for a second because I've just been reminded. I was about to say I collected Marienburgers, and of course the reason I collected Marienburgers, I was telling Tori before the show. A buddy of mine and I, Glenn Robinson. Hi, Glenn, if you're listening. In 97, 98, we were working at Games Workshop head office in Australia. And we had this idea. We thought we loved Necromunda so much, and we thought we want to do a fantasy version of this. Let's create a cool skirmish game. So we were working on a game called Marienburg, and it was going to be human gangs running around Marienburg, all sponsored by the different merchant guilds, and trying to exert political influence here and there. Through the scenarios and sort of through different campaign points and that kind of thing. And things were going pretty well. we weren't game developers ourselves, so we didn't know how to do everything correctly. But we had a bit of a game going. We did a couple of play tests, and then just as we were about to do some more work on it, Mordheim was announced.
So
we were
funny.
like, that's amazing. Somebody must have been listening in our conversation.
Again, classic Dave Taylor. He's the R&D department at Games Workshop.
somebody must have been reading our emails.
I was gonna say, you have a bug like in your gaming room. Rick Priestley's listening in on it. He's like, good ideas in there.
It'd be delightful to think that was the case, but I'm sure it wasn't. It was more of a case of it's a pretty good idea, so other people were going to have it as well.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy to hear, and maybe I hope I'm not like jumping the gun on it, but someone made a giant campaign for Mordheim called Mutiny in Marienburg, which is Mordheim set in Marienburg, and it is a intense supplement to say the least. We're talking like 500 pages of lore and rules. It's unreal, but we can talk about that later. But someone fulfilled the legacy,
that's
20
awesome.
years later.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Cool. Nicholas says, I remember my first 40K book that had green on some of those Necron bases for painting guides. Around 5th edition.
Yep.
Definitely. Josh says, those green-blue Mordheim tables I've seen at Adepticon are amazing. And Scott says, sounds like your friend Glenn stooged you off to HQ and they pinned the credit to Thomas. Who sold out. Possibly. I don't know. He did move to the UK before Mordheim was released, so I don't know. But anyway, all sorts of fun there. So we've got a skirmish game set in the Warhammer Fantasy world in the Empire, in the history of the Empire, 500 years before the present time. And it's essentially this game sort of ransacking post-apocalyptic fantasy city. So moving along, we talked about terrain. Terrain was a super important part of the game, and the setting, being able to create that feel of sort of destroyed decadence, I guess.
Yeah, it was, this game really works well in like a claustrophobic setting, because again, Mordheim is supposed to be set over a fairly large city in the Warhammer lore. So the more claustrophobic, the more elevation differential you have, the better the game is going to be, quite honestly. There was so much you could do. I mean, I've seen this board before. I forget who made it.
I can't remember.
But there's also campaigns that are set kind of in the Empire side, or the Empire countryside, even outside Mordheim, and people have done really interesting things there too, like abandoned chateaus that people were fighting over, like old encampments, stuff like that. But yeah, I would say the terrain and the boards is almost as important as the game and miniatures itself. Like there's 3 pillars of Mordheim. It's like the core rules, the warband creations, and all the cool ideas people put in there. But then also the boards are a completely forefront.
Yeah, they're very much they're the third player on that game, aren't they?
Totally.
Yeah. So I knew that there was something I was going to ask, but I can't remember what I was going to ask right at the moment. But we'll come to it. But in here, like speaking of the importance of cool tables, you sent me a whole bunch of photos. So I figured we'll have a look at those now, should we?
Yeah, for sure.
Looking at this photo, all I can see is my brain is telling me that those corners are just going to turn into pink foam. Like it's making me itch. I'm like if that's my table, I'm like, nope, I'm putting a wood edge on that. I'm sealing it. Like,
yep. I suspect this is a table that's probably been to a couple of events. Maybe not yet, but it's very definitely made by somebody for their own personal gaming.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen this board a lot on social media, so it's definitely made the rounds to events. in one piece is pretty commendable because it looks like it's one piece. So
Yeah,
they've kept it in pretty good shape, all things considered.
absolutely. This looks great.
Oh
Very
yeah.
nice.
So I sent Dave a couple pictures of an event in Hull, England, which is commonly joked as Mordheim, basically in England, a modern day Mordheim. It's in northern England. But these guys up there, they, I would say even before it was cool, they were putting on a big Mordheim event. This guy Ken and a bunch of guys in his gaming group every year. And Ken should have worked at Warhammer World. This is one of his boards, and it's probably one of the coolest Mordheim boards I've ever seen. He hit up Tabletop World. I think that's their name. They make those resin buildings, those really high quality resin buildings, and just asked them for a bunch of miscasts. And they sent him a bunch of stuff, for a couple $100. And he built this, and he literally took these very expensive miscast buildings and just hit them with a hammer and just broke them apart. Did some crazy elevation. But yeah, this board lives at their club in Hull, and every time I go there, everyone is fighting, literally like fist fighting over to play on this thing.
Yeah.
It's just, the amount of detail he put into it is just so awesome. All the different walkways.
You can see here the difference in levels. You've got this lower level here, the step up, the next step up, and you know that somebody's standing on the edge here, getting hit with an arrow, so that wonderful chance of falling all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And for people who don't know, there's a lot of falling off ledges in Mordheim. There's a lot of diving charges off ledges, so that's another big reason to have verticality. For example, if you're on that top tier and there's someone standing below you, you can dive off and get a bonus to your charge as you land on top of them. And it just gives a lot of cool sight angles. So there's a lot of cool range skirmishing that happens on maps like this. And it doesn't, sometimes Mordheim can feel a little bit Warhammer Fantasy Battle-y because it's built off of, the fantasy battle rules. So sometimes you'll have that kind of back and forth, that skirmish line. But on a map like this, or a board like this is where it super duper shines. You get a lot of cool movements and stuff like that.
We've got some sort of detailed closer shots in there, which are look fantastic. And just imagine so what have we got this side? Beastman, is it?
Yeah, it looks like it was Beastman, and this guy, the bluey purpley looking guys, I'm trying to remember what he ran those as, but they're I think it was a mix of orcs and chaos and something like that.
Right.
This event was huge. I think back in 2018, 2019, they had 60 people, maybe 60, 65 people. So there was a lot of really great war bands there.
I love the tentacles coming out of that fountain as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he made a lot of wanted posters are a big thing. People want as many posters as they can possibly put up on these boards.
Yep. I think a lot of the other feeling as well. So a lot of these walls, the texture on them, so it might be from some GW terrain pieces.
Yeah.
Some of the the Mighty Fortress, the plastic version of the Mighty Fortress.
Yep. That piece to the left there, next to the tentacles, there's a rebuke coming out. It's the Warhammer Fortress, and then he chopped off the top piece.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just the lower wall section.
Right. Excellent. I think there are some basically sort of train diorama plasticard textures as well.
Yeah.
There's some sort of stuff like this. But it's beautiful, really atmospheric kind of battles.
Yeah, I got some Beastmen in there.
Yep. And I love the little gas lamp.
So surprisingly, those things are still standing on that board. They've definitely gotten broke off more than a couple times, but
I think that's one of those things where you have to drill up into it and put like a bamboo skewer in,
Yeah.
so you could like jam it all the way through into the board.
Yep. But yeah, this board is just incredible. I need to next time I go up there, I just want to take like a 20-minute video, just all the sight lines and stuff. But yeah, it's great.
That'd be fantastic. This is another one.
Yeah, this one, I'm sure you guys recognize this this center ring. Have you seen this before?
I think I've seen it being used for Arena Rex. Is this the Playmobil?
It is, yeah.
It's a great Playmobil.
That thing goes for so much money online.
Probably because of us. It's like our breed, you know. It's like
So
yeah.
I have a feeling that so Playmobil originally released it for their toys, and then it went out of production. And I did hear that after it was being sought after for like Roman gladiatorial games and probably for some Mordheim stuff as well, some pit fighting stuff, they actually re-released it. So
Yeah.
a new chunk came back on the market.
So
There was some guy in the sales department that was like, "You guys got to see this. These war gamers are like losing it over this discontinued set."
Can you imagine being that guy? You're like, boss, I sold another five Colosseums, and you're like, who's buying these?
No one's buying these. What's going on? Yeah.
He's like, wow, kids really like the Roman gladiator games. You're like, no. It was a questionable choice for our toy line anyways, to promote Bloodsport in a kid's collectible game. Turns out that miniature gamers love this and can't get enough of it.
Yeah, they're all about the blood sports.
Yep. But yeah, he added on to this thing like considerably. There was this his name was Tim, and he built the board next to this too, but he went hard on this Playmobil set and added a lot of really cool stuff, like some gladiator statues. He hand built those front gates that kind of open, which aren't in the original kit.
Right.
And like the stands as well, just out of Starbucks stir sticks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So when I was taking a look through Broheim yesterday, I noticed that there's a mini pit fighter game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's cool because when your heroes, basically in Mordheim, things can happen to your members of your warband, and one of the outcomes is that your guy gets thrown into a pit fight. He gets captured as a slave and gets thrown into the pits, right? Kind of like Conan the Barbarian style pit fight. And I think Jervis Johnson wrote that pit fight game, or one of the legends or something like that. And they said, hey, instead of making it this really one and done thing where you just roll some dice to see what happens to your guy, we should have him actually fight a mini game pit fight. So they wrote a mini game for it, and it's hex based. And I've never played it, so a bunch of people have, and they seem to love it. And people have like done entire campaigns using those mini pit fight rules.
Yeah, that's the premise. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. Here are those gladiator statue you mentioned.
Yeah. I don't know how he did this upper tier here, because I don't think it was on the Playmobil set.
No, it does look like might be carved from foam or from foam car.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
yeah.
I definitely have that Beastman like Gore champion that's there.
Oh, the one at the front? The two
With
axes?
the axis.
Yeah. Those old metal ones are so cool.
Yep, they definitely are. But so yeah, this I guess this is the gates.
Yeah, it's the front gates.
That you were talking about.
Yeah, going in. Yeah. One of my favorite boards there. It's awesome. You don't really see too many of those pit fighting boards or like those big Colosseums, but he crushed it.
Yeah. And that's is it Ogre at the front there, also from Coast City? Is that one of the I think that's the Ogre character from that.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And I think this there's a beastman in here just in front of the statue, with the big curly horns. I think he might be an older metal model, like a
Yeah,
late 80s
I think so.
metal model. That's great. I think it's one of those things as well with when you've got a setting like Mordheim where it's that sort of post-apocalyptic feel, everybody's a bit ragtag. You can be pulling models from all over the place. Uniformity isn't an important thing.
Yeah, not at all. And I think that's another reason why the game has survived so much longer, because people, even now today in the Mordheim Facebook group, people say, where do I get miniatures? And the last answer is Games Workshop. Everyone just says, wherever you want. Literally, like you can get them from Reaper, you can go and get any generic fantasy guy, and he can be anything in Mordheim, because it is set in Warhammer Fantasy, but the way they wrote it, it feels more open ended than just fantasy. Like even the basic human mercenaries you play are more or less pretty generic. So yeah, just because of that, it stayed affordable. That's the other thing. Like we tried to get into Necromunda 95, and it's kind of hard to find the older miniatures for that or stuff. If you're playing Orlocks have a specific look that you want, right? And it's not so specific in Mordheim. Like that Beastman can be in 5 different war bands.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a important point that you make there. The accessibility to miniatures for games that are, for want of a better term, dead or unsupported by their original creators. Finding original miniatures or alternatives is a pretty crazy thing. So I used to play a lot of Dark Age from Simon Kulminiona.
Mm-hmm.
And those minis are very difficult to come by now. There are some of the later releases that maybe there are only 100 models were ever made or ever put out into the world. So there are some folks out there doing their own digital sculpting. There are other folks who are using finding proxies in the huge plethora of Patreon or digital sculpting Patreons that exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely, I guess, definitely part of keeping something alive is being able to bring new people to it and point them in direction of where they can get started.
Yeah. Even the lore too, if you know nothing about fantasy and it's like, hey, we're going to play Mordheim, and they're like, what's that? It's like you're gathering a bunch of guys and you're going into a destroyed city to find treasure. That's all you need to know. Right. In Necromunda, I think you probably need to have a little bit more knowledge of 40K, like a basic understanding of the hive cities a little bit, and the gangs and how those kind of work. Maybe not, but that's kind of my interpretation of it, why people usually flock one way instead of the other. You
probably could generate a similar sort of simple phrase to describe it.
Yeah.
Take a little bit more crafting.
Yeah, for sure.
Entering destroyed medieval city.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Excellent. Josh says GW inadvertently writes a minis agnostic game. Enter the law of unintended consequences. Oh, the irony. Absolutely. But fantastic. I think I really love this really love this table.
Yeah. So the same guy built this next one, which I think you'll like, Jake. He built a Carnival of Chaos table.
Oh my god.
And it is unbelievable. I couldn't send Dave enough pictures of this thing. The amount of detail this dude put, like in the front to the left of this blue tarp, he made a Nurgling hot tub. There's a bunch of Nurglings in there just like taking a soak.
Some hiding
Nurgle soup.
Yeah.
Ew.
Just everywhere on this board, he just put so much random stuff. It's so cool. It's such
I like
a cool board.
I like the Nurgly merry-go-round that I see in the back.
Yep. Yep.
Hang a second. So, yeah, that next photo. There we go. So that's the merry-go-round with the top taken off.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
I didn't realize that the big top, the main tent,
Yeah.
is the three circles of Nurgle,
Yep.
3 Nurgle symbols.
Very nice.
And actually, one thing that's missing because it kept getting knocked over, he built a what's the spinny go round thing called?
The merry-go-round, the carousel.
Ferris wheel. He made like a death Ferris wheel where there's a bunch of skeletons all over it, like on all the. But people kept knocking it over because he made it out of Starbucks, stir sticks,
Right.
and then it was getting obliterated. But it was another cool piece that he had on this board.
Yeah. But no, this is great. I love that the skeletal horses of the day were used as the horses on that.
Yep.
That's pretty great.
But again, just another wonderful idea. Oh, there we go. Is that? No,
It's another one. Just a bunch of random body parts. Just whatever wacky stuff he could come up with, whatever bits he had lying around, he was just throwing different attractions into.
Excellent.
It's pretty great.
Scott suggests gang warfare in the Forgotten Undercity. Boom, done. There we go.
Yeah, that's not bad actually.
That's Scott's 2-second pitch for.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Malev has joined us. Hi, Malev. Malev says Mordheim just pulls out the creativity from fools like Sing Song pulls out souls. Awesome. And Josh says the 3 circles of Nurgle.
Nice, solid.
Yeah. Fun, frolic, and fungus. There we go. Nice one, Dave. But there's a little anime reference.
Yep.
In there. So
that's pretty great. Man, you're right. There's so many. I love when there's like cool Easter eggs on a board. It's like the only person that's for is the guy who built the table and anybody he thinks is going to get the gag.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there was at least 30 things on this board that I missed or like I didn't take pictures of. They were all over the place.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And yeah, there we go. I think having those, obviously there are the sort of the pennants that are sort of strung around the main tent. We can see down the bottom here. The red, purple, and green echoed in the balloons. Oh, is that a fish?
Where?
I think there's a fish nailed to the
Oh yeah,
the balloon stand.
Probably.
good catch. Good catch.
Oh, literally. Nice. And I think this, I'm feeling this model down here is a, so there's a archer, one of the Empire archers, but I have a feeling this model is made from one of the Imperial Noble Blood Bowl team.
Oh yeah.
I could be wrong, but oops, sorry. Oh yeah. It's always fun just looking through.
Yeah, this table's great.
Yeah. Excellent. So just going to step away from the photos for a little bit. I think we've got a just wanted to check which one we had coming up next. Okay, yeah. But Tori, tell us about your involvement in Mordheim. Like when you started playing Mordheim, what kept you going? What led you to Broheim? And how you're involved. Obviously, you're traveling from Maryland to the UK to play Mordheim. There's a very strong connection there.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
A bit of a background on that.
Sure, yeah.
Professional Mordheim player, obviously.
Well, I wouldn't say that. And the running joke is that when I first went to Hull, So not a lot of people know this, but like I always liked the idea of Mordheim. I was playing a lot of 40K back when it came out. I guess it was, I forget what edition it was, but back in the day, and I never played it. And I built Broheim before I even played Mordheim. And the first time I played, I went to Hull, and there was only 8 guys there. And my first game, I was playing against this English guy there, and I was like, "You're gonna have to teach me how to play." And he was like, "What the f?" It's like, "You have the website." It's like, "You don't know how to play the game." And it's like, "Yeah, sorry." And the whole day, like the whole weekend, I was messing up rules and stuff like that. They're like, "You're supposed to be the rule guy. Like, you're doing it all wrong." But yeah, that was back in, I guess, like 2017 or something like that. So it was only a couple of years afterward. So I'm not necessarily very good at it, I would say. There's definitely people that are pro, and I learn a lot So part of the nature of running the website is you get a lot of feedback. Well, in general, you get a lot of feedback because right now I'd say Broheim like is the go-to place for Mordheim content. And not even by design. One of the big aspects of it is that there's a grading system on there, and it's not designed to grade things on balance. It never was, because most importantly, like I don't want to be the guy to make the call about how things are balanced, right? People are writing new material every day, and a lot of people look to me and like, "Whoa, how is this graded? How would you stack this up to one of the official warbands?" And I don't think anyone should be able to make that call except for Thomas, right? And I'm not going to ask him, the creator of the game, I'm not going to ask him every day, like, "Hey, what do you think about this warband?" Because I know his answer is going to say, "Be play tested," right? So yeah, get a lot of feedback about that kind of stuff. But anyway, the grading system is really designed about the quality of writing and how much work people put into fan-made material, right? Is it starting with their grammar? Is their grammar good? Is are their rules written well? Do they make sense? Is their document well put together? Stuff like that. So anyway, take a step back. So Broheim at this point, it's more of like the index. I run the index. People send me stuff all the time to put on there, things I might have forgotten from back in the day. People write new stuff, I put it on there. So it's like a central location where people can find the rules, they can find new material, stuff like that.
Cool. So yeah, it is an incredible resource for anybody who's thinking of doing anything with Mordheim. Just having a look through it over the last week or so, there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
There's obviously all the there's all the official rules are up there, the official war bands. There are loads of fan-made war bands. There's loads of things like the pit fight game that we were talking about, which was an official piece written probably for Fanatic magazine, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so.
And there are also, as I said, campaigns written by other folks. There's loads and loads of material that you can to get on there, check out, download, and start playing with.
Yeah, was not built in a day. 10-year anniversary is next year.
All right, nice.
Yeah, those first couple of years too. It was funny, Dave. You were saying earlier, you were back in the day, you were doing the Australian white dwarf, and then there was the UK white dwarf. And I need to tell you how much of a pain in the ass it's been to try to find different white dwarfs from different regions.
Sure.
Because the articles differ. So someone will come to me and they'll be like, "Hey, there was a Mordheim article written in Australian white dwarf." I'm like, "Oh God. Okay. Well, where am I going to find that?" You got to find it on like eBay or something like that. So all this work just to hunt down like a single article. It's like a random scenario someone wrote.
Yeah.
But yeah, those treasure hunts can be fun, No,
absolutely. For those folks who don't know, back in the day, there was the global white dwarf was put together by Paul Sawyer, Faplook, and his team. Those files would go out to studios around the world. So France, Germany, Italy, Spain, I think don't know if I don't think the Northern Europeans had one. The US, Canada, and Australia, and we would put together our own local version, and that would include. It was something that also annoyed the UK crowd when they sort of found out about it, because generally there would be more pages in an international version.
Yeah.
Additional content put in by the local studios. We do all sorts of stuff. I know I did a couple of articles with myself and Matt Weaver, who was one of our studio guys over there. We did army painting challenges. We did Taylor 4 Warlords kind of things. We did battle reports. So yeah, I can appreciate that would be a pain in the butt to try and track down, particularly because all of those international studios no longer exist. So there's no records have been kept.
Yeah, there's always something. Some guy would be like, "Hey, Troll Magazine number 12 had a warband in it." I'm like, "Oh God, all right, time to find this thing." They probably printed like 1,000 of them. I
think one of the biggest strengths of our weakness and our strengths of our industry or fandom is the people who become like hobby champions for something that is really important to them. And I think that Games Workshop, amongst a host of other companies, would be really, really well served if they leaned into that. There's a kid who Ben was talking about last week. We were talking about Age of Sigmar, and I forget who it was, but he's a huge Age of Sigmar fan. And this kid posts all the time and is really knowledgeable about the rules and is super up to date on everything. And like literally, I'm sure, much like your site, I'm sure he has like a huge, backlog of information that he can go back to and go, oh, well, we cited this and like this is where that's coming from. And here's all the White Dwarf issues that like contain stuff for that. And if Games Workshop could just figure out a way to like utilize those people and like work with them,
work with them.
Yeah. Like I was like, like as a store owner, if there's a new game that comes out at my store and Dave's a regular there and Dave is obsessed with it, I don't need to do anything. Dave is going to tell everybody about it. He's going to make sure it does well. He's going to create his own like local guys that are playing, just like you're doing. Like Mordheim is a perfect example. This is a game that is dead and buried. It has not been made, produced, or supported in 20-ish years.
Oh, 15. Yeah.
15, yeah. Right. So it's been Specialist Range. It was Specialist Range for basically 5 or 6 years, and then they kind of stopped doing anything with it. Yeah. So, but like there's a huge community internationally, and Games Workshop would have to do nothing. They could just be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have Turn's gonna run it. He'll, he's gonna manage things, and we'll work with him. We'll give him resources. Here's that one White Dwarf from Australia that you're missing for your files. Like, I mean, minimal work, and it would just be like, oh hey, we now have a fully supported Mordheim community that Games Workshop is like fully sanctioned, and we'll update everything. Like, it's such a no-brainer, but it happens across our industry. Like it happens all the time. I'm always blown away. I'm like, why wouldn't you want someone who clearly is like passionate about this and dialed in and really excited about it and is basically just like, hey, can I tell people about your toys? And you're like, sure, that'd be great. It's such a weird, like, missed opportunity.
Yeah. I think it's something that they I'm going to talk about it from a Games Workshop point of view. I can't speak to other companies about it, but basically they don't understand how to do that and not have it be controlled by them, because there's a level of control that you've got to surrender there. But,
well, yes and no, but I mean, again, as somebody who came from the corporate world, like I'll give you a perfect example. Every time you see Disney pajamas or a Disney breakfast cereal or a Disney toy, some executive at Disney signed an agreement with whoever that is and was like, as long as you follow these steps, you're fine. Like, there's ways to do it. Marvel's the same way. Like, Marvel licenses stuff all the time, which is just owned by Disney. So now you're going through 2 tiers of that. it's just wild to me that Games Workshop, which is a globally recognized Fortune 500 publicly traded business, doesn't understand how to do that. It is business 101. It is part of the opening ceremonies of having your own corporate empire. And they're like, yeah, we're not really sure to do this. And again, I know part of it is, I know Kevin has his hands full and they've been doing a good job with launching and stuff, but there are so many fundamental issues that are so many levels below him that are just not being handled. And I don't know if this just never gets to him or if there's just like nobody who's even aware of it. It's just blows my mind that this is still a thing, though.
Yeah.
I think it was amazing that you chose Disney as your example there, Dick, because if Disney, like, if a Disney exec drives down the street and sees that somebody has painted a Mickey Mouse on the side of a daycare center, that daycare center will have 2 weeks to remove that Mickey Mouse or be closed.
But again, you're talking about
a great example.
But you're talking about but if I make a Disney T-shirt and I wear it to Disney, no one's going to give me grief because again, as long as I'm not making money off someone else's property, I can do whatever I want.
Well, not exactly how it works, but
pretty close. As long as you are not like making a profit off someone else's work. But again, that's all this is. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's there is an opportunity for Games Workshop there. They're just going to have the right people and the right mission statement. They're going to put the right mission statement together for that.
Yeah. I mean, they've kind of given me a pass by letting me even keep Broheim up as long as I have. I mean, there's, the other day we were talking, we're playing War Master a ton, and War Master also has a ton of material written for it. The difference being they didn't release a lot of it for free like they did for Mordheim. And everyone's like, you should scan some War Master magazines, put those up. I'm like, it's my Icarus moment. Like, the moment I put one thing up there that they don't like, the Pinkertons are going to be sent to my door.
I do think
maybe what you need to do is have it hosted in Germany.
Yeah.
German copyright laws are very different.
Yeah. You can have it hosted in China through like a ghost server.
No. Then you'll have 15 websites that all look
like
the same.
Ben talks all the time about like part of the reason 40K sells so well is because of all of us. And I'm using the royal we. Like every time Ash does a video or every time, there's a Bella Lost Souls article, like the fan base is so excited about it that 40K sells itself. Like people come into my store and they're like, I want to get into 40K. Nobody ever wanders in and goes, oh, what is this? Like, can you walk me through this? It's they saw something somewhere or a friend of theirs talked about it. It's the buzz that keeps that thing rolling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're all into it because it's great and it's fun and the background is awesome. And, we've got all the Black Library guys to thank and, the studio, like that's why we're into it. But it doesn't sell because of those things. It sells because of everybody who's a fan. And Mordheim is the same thing. Like you are literally like Dr. Mordheim super fan number one. And if they could figure out a way to like aim you in the right direction, it'd be like, oh yeah, well just go to broheim.com, and you'll see all the stuff that you need to play. Oh, and we're gonna re-release STLs of all of our Mordheim characters, and you can like if they did that, I would buy an Aner of the Twilight Sword right now. Yeah. Like I would get him right now because I can't find my old one.
Yeah, it is funny. A couple of weeks ago, actually, it wasn't weeks ago. I suppose it was months now. Guys in the Games Workshop design studio, they were posting their Mordheim campaign on Instagram. And they were like, oh, we're playing Mordheim campaign. And of course, the hype was unreal. People were like, they're bringing Mordheim back. And on Broheim, I have Google Analytics set up so I can see what city people are playing in from and like their pretty close location. And the like Games Workshop HQ was like a hot spot during their Mordheim campaign. It's like, haha, they're using it. They can't stop themselves.
I'm sure there's a bunch of dudes in the mailroom and in the studio who are playing Mordheim on their lunch breaks. Like I guarantee it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a good feel good moment. It's like I got him hooked.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I got to guess that at certain times of the year that when they're doing a necro thing, that the necrovox.org website gets the same sort of sees the same sort of spike from Lenten. But
it's pretty meta though. Like Games Workshop makes Mordheim, or Dave designs his game. They turn into Mordheim. They release Mordheim. It gets supported as part of it gets supported for a little while, and then it goes away. And then you get interested in it. You don't play it. You just archive all the stuff. Then you get excited into it. You start promoting a game Mordheim on your website Broheim. Games Workshop is like, oh, this seems really cool, and it becomes a hotspot on their servers. And they're like, what's this Mordheim? This seems really cool. Like it's come full circle. It's pretty ridiculous.
And then, of course, me talking to Dave about how Dave actually wrote Mordheim is like the catalyst.
Yeah, this is it
for some like major event.
For sure.
Yeah, they're probably watching right now, and they're like, "We can't allow this to happen."
I never wrote Mordheim. It wasn't me.
Sorry, Dave writes
cool idea at the same time. That's
Sorry,
all.
Dave creates Marienburg. Marienburg gets pitched by Glenn to HQ. HQ makes Mordheim.
But no, not at all. But I think that's super awesome. Let's have I got a couple of photos that you sent me of warbands. Well, I have one photo of warband and one photo of a whole bunch of very cool models. So let's have a look at those, and then let's also after that let's also quickly talk about what Mordheim and that combination of Thomas Pirinen and John Blanche, what that has brought to gaming.
Yeah,
like indie gaming.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's have a quick look at that. So first up, there we go. There's the button I need to press.
Oh yeah, so
that's awesome.
This band was made by my friend Gabby, fellow Marylander. She made it for a huge Mordheim event in the States here up in Massachusetts called NEMO, North England Mordheim Open. It was last year. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go. I was busy having a kid. But I saw pictures of this band. It won the best painted band at that event. And as you can see, it's midsummer themed.
Dude, I love the goats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, loads of goats along here. But yeah, then all of the ladies with the horns and the wreaths and the long flowing whites.
The bear's pretty great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I think she ran this as a cult of the possessed.
Okay.
So the bear is the possessed, the big beast.
Yep. And I guess this one over here as well would be the best.
Yeah, but it looks so cool, and it's just so radically different from a lot of the other kind of like super grimdark bands I see. It's just such a cool idea. Everyone loved it. I think it deserved a special spotlight.
The Wicker Man in the background's pretty great too. Like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here with the this would be the Magister.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. But that is super cool. And there's the trophy, of course, on the side. But yeah, that was great. I think we had so I had a friend of mine, Jake. Well, you know Jake from Jake Landis. So Tori, you probably know Jake Landis from maybe from the GW store at my mind's gone blank. Columbia.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So Jake went up and was up at Nemo. We talked with Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop a few months ago. Eric was at that show as well. I thought it was kind of funny. You mentioned like people getting artwork from Mordheim getting
tattoos. Yeah.
And I think at Nemo this year there he had like Martin McCoy and his partner were there doing some tattoo work.
Yeah.
So
they put on a really cool show. Those dudes. They're doing it again next year. I don't think they've announced the official date, but definitely going to make it out. They they do good stuff. Those guys at the Hype Scum podcast. I think
Right.
the official name of that show is Under the Dice Fest, but I think like one of their big things is the Nemo event. They had like 100 people last year. It was nuts.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So yeah, very cool to see. Congratulations, Gabby. Your warband is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And this one here.
Yeah, so this is most of the cast of Mordheim. This is from my own collection. It took me 10 years to collect as many of these things as I possibly could. There's a couple missing, but my friend Jean Paintier painted these up for me. And he's just a beast.
These
I
are
think
awesome.
I think he's painting for like War Games Atlantic now.
Okay.
Or he's doing some stuff for them. But
I see the two Slayers. That wizard with the big pointy hat, the Gandalf looking guy.
yeah.
Everybody I know bought that wizard to play D&D. Everybody was like, that's gonna be my wizard. And you're like, okay, awesome.
Nicodemus.
Yeah, he's
Nicodemus
great.
name.
Who's the vampire looking girl? Because they released her later as just like a fantasy miniature.
Yeah, she's a dramatis personae called Mariana Chavot. I've literally never seen her in a game ever.
Didn't they release her again later on as like wasn't that somebody Karstein?
Might have. I can't remember. I'm not sure. But
These are, I think, to this day, I think these are some of the best minis that GW ever made during this whole time period. Like, there's so much character in these.
Yeah.
like and sort of Twilight. There's the Undead Town Crier. There's a warrior priest. There's a halfling thief with a little mask.
One of my favorite ones, that warlock on the right. I never noticed there's a little frog on his shoulder.
Oh, here, yeah,
Yeah. Like, I never noticed that on the miniature until I saw it painted.
yeah,
Just like hanging out.
yeah. No, that's great. That one.
Who's the guy in white standing behind Aner the Twilight?
Oh, this one.
Yeah, him. Yeah, who is that?
That's an elf mage. That's such a weird figure. It was released by Specialist Games for Mordheim, but like I have no idea who sculpted that, and it looks way different than the rest of the range. Yeah, I don't know the story of that miniature at all. It definitely stands out. It's a really good sculpt. I've just never understood like the story behind it.
I used that one in my Cathayan army. That's one of my spellcasters in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's with some conversion work, but
Who's the guy on the left with the blonde hair and the blue cloak?
that's an elf ranger.
Yeah.
That
It's like
model's awesome.
5th edition like elf champion or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was very similar to one of the elves from Warhammer Quest, the original Warhammer Quest.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Highwayman model in the back. We had him on foot and mounted.
Yep.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah, that dude in that Freelance Knight. I think that Freelance Knight is usually regarded as like one of the coolest figures of that range. He's just so badass. He's got the stash. He's got the fish.
That was Brian Nelson, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
The crazy thing as well. So he's got the Ostlin shield with the fish nailed to it.
Yeah.
So he sculpted the shield first, obviously, and but they cast that shield just with the bull's head on it. So if you knew the right people to talk to, you could get a whole bunch of that Ostlin shield for your Empire army.
Yeah. So I've heard from a couple of people, including Ash, by the way, from Guerrilla Miniature Games, because we talked about this range quite a bit, that a lot of these characters, you know, they weren't designed specifically for Mordheim. It was mostly like side sculpts that some of the sculptors did in their spare time, or like, you know, they just had them lying around and they would make up backstories for them and they'd be like, hey, this would be a cool character in Mordheim for whatever reason. You know, is that, how substantiated is that? Have you heard the same thing mostly?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm sure that there would have been that in amongst this group, there's probably some models that may have seen a brief period is a different release, and then they were brought into and put out as like a Fnatic release for Mordheim, or they were possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if there are miniatures in here that were like the test models. So when sculptors were applying to work at Games Workshop, they had to do a couple of test models. So yeah, I bet you that there are some in there that are.
Can you imagine like that? They tell you up front, like that's your hey kid, you want to work at Games Workshop? Okay, well, sculpt a Mordheim Kai. You're like, okay.
Yep. Well, I know there was definitely a time when it was there were a lot of sort of Empire models. Some of the sculptors were sculpted because it was about sculpting humans. Can you sculpt human anatomy correctly, kind of thing. So they'd start with that. And if you can sculpt human anatomy correctly, then you can be comfortable breaking that and changing that anatomy to make something else.
I was gonna ask if you didn't pass that, where they're like, okay, you're working on zombies now or something, or like
they're like you're hired. You work at Forge World now.
Quite possibly.
I mean, doing dwarves only for now.
Yeah. Well, there were certainly times when I've seen some interviews with Mike McVeigh where it was he'd reached the point where he wasn't going to get paid anymore as a painter. So the next step to earn some more money was to become a sculptor. Mm. So he sort of was almost railroaded into that path. But he wasn't anywhere near as good a sculptor as he was a painter, because he'd spent 20 years painting and 0 years sculpting. So it kind of was an odd time. But he would have had to do that same sort of thing. Would have had to sculpt a couple of test models.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an awesome range. There's a few that aren't pictured here, but I've definitely looked at it enough. So it's like, if I was going to have one cohesive range of anything, I think Mordheim would be the front runner.
Would be it, yeah, for sure. But that's
awesome. There's some great minis in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Is that who's that over on the left here?
That's the witch.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I remember it now.
I see the barbarian guy behind Andrew, the guy who looks like a brown. You can barely see him; he just looks like a brown shadow.
But over here.
Yeah, that guy, because he's got the weird. He's got the weird headdress with like the goofy ears almost.
Oh yeah, the Beastmaster.
Yeah, that guy's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's also an interesting miniature. He's like pretty tiny.
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty small guy. He looks like he's almost 25 mil scale.
Yeah. So yeah, that could have been that same sort of thing where somebody was sculpting and they thought they were getting it right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite the right size.
Yeah, that guy, they're definitely like, so you're going to be sculpting rhino doors over at Forge World.
Oh man, it's hard.
But don't worry, in like 10 or 15 years, you're going to do a bunch of Primarchs that aren't great.
Excellent. So yeah, I mentioned that I wanted to come back and just quickly let's do 5 minutes on I guess indie games that this has spawned, or
yeah.
I obviously when we talk about the Inc. 28 movement, or even now it's just the 28 movement. Inquisitor is an important part of that. Necromunda is an important part of that. But Mordheim, I think, probably more than those others, is such an important element of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It feels really recent, when you think about it. Like, I feel like it's like 2017. It's like when that stuff really started kicking off. Does that feel right?
Yeah. Well, I think, getting a lot more sort of notoriety for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Just like that around the same time as like the Blanchitsu kind of painting style definitely came from the Mordheim scene. Like that, at least that's the first time I started seeing it around that group.
Yeah. So from there have been all sorts of things, like obviously so games like Sludge, from Sean Sutter.
Mhm. Turnip 28. Yep. Planet 28.
Yep. Trench Crusade.
Yep.
This one that's gaining a lot of
Big one.
coming back to that, of course, rules for Trench Crusade being written by Thomas Pirinen,
Yep.
author of Mordheim. Artwork being done by Mike Francina.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the main, well, certainly the core of the artwork being done for that. And I think Mike is taking on that, he's fulfilling that role of John Blanche in creating the look and feel of Trench Crusade.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is interesting. It really did kind of do its own spin-off. That whole that whole grimdark kind of grouping. And they're getting bigger every day, you know. Like there's whole YouTube channels dedicated to the grimdark style now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so crazy. It's a cool thing though, right? I mean, like it's them more than anyone. They're definitely making use of a wider range of even hobby material. Like it's great seeing people using oils and enamels and pigments and getting real weird with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good use of kind of like that artistic expression. I think so many people are just used to that Games Workshop style with the layering and the hard edge highlights. It's so cool. Like, you know, I recently went to this event that the Hive Scum guys had in Massachusetts, and a lot of people were just talking about, you know, instead of like that layer up style and the hard edge highlight, they're like, take your mini, spray it from 3 different directions with 3 different colors, put oils on it, and call it a day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah, throw some rocks on it first and some texture.
Right.
And there you go. Like, you know, can't argue with that. It's actually pretty cool.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Sorry, I haven't been just realized I haven't been checking on the chat, but Dave Hummel said alternate Isabella. I think talking about the
Yeah, I think so. I think they changed her head, I think.
Yeah. Alan said the vampire chick got dumped out as a release with no real point, but such a cool model. He converted her to an Inquisitor henchman, Codex Witch Hunters. Dave Hummel loved the Highwayman sets. Steven's joined us, Steven Ryder, Tabletop Super Show. And yeah, hodgepodge of random side projects makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
I love that idea. Again, I love the idea that it's just like your entry test.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey kid, make a Mordheim guy.
Scott says
real weird with it.
Wizard was a test. It was wildly out of scale, but they incorporated that into his story and why he was supposed to be 7'4".
That's right. He eats weird stone. He's like addicted to it. Yeah.
Jeff Smith joined us. Hi, Jeff. Welcome. Awesome. Dave Palmer says, I was starting to collect some of the Empire kits. I had my very large Empire back in 2006 before starting with GW in LA. And yeah. And
I even remember the different cardboard backing on the blisters.
Oh yeah.
Like all the different lines, and Mordheim had a very specific the cardboard back piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sort of bloody rusty kind of look.
Yeah.
From the outlet, cool. the box cover.
It was. I will say, as somebody who worked at a store for a long time, it was really, really great because when you'd restock, we'd stripe it, so you'd be like, "Oh, that's Mordheim," and that's Necromunda, and then there was the weird chaos stuff that was just black and it said had the red chaos logo.
Yep.
That was all Realm of Chaos stuff. I think it was really cool when you restock because it looked really neat on the table and on the walls.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So there we go. We've gone through. We've taken a look at Mordheim. It's 25 years since it's released. We've talked a bit about the lore. We've looked at a whole bunch of the super cool models. We've talked about the warbands. We've talked about the setting, the rules. Actually, we didn't talk a lot about the rules, but I do know a place where you can go to see a lot of them. Broheim.net. So linked in the notes below. I think it might be the first link, so you can go and check that out. and marvel at everything that is up there. And make sure you come back and thank Tori in the comments. And while you're at it, hit like, subscribe, all the other fun stuff.
Yeah, click the notification bell, do all the stuff. Outsmart the AI, guys.
Woohoo! You can do it. Awesome. But Tori, thank you very much for joining us, for chatting through that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's always fun talking about Mordheim stuff.
Yeah.
Lives in my brain rent free.
So, have you got some time to stick with us and have a look at the community paint jobs?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Community, excellent.
Dave, I wish I had seen it earlier. I just forwarded it to you. So Christian Simonson, who's one of our painters in the channel, painted up an Aner the Twilight like a couple years ago. It's incredible. So I just sent it to Dave. We'll show it off next week in this section of the show, but it's wild.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Okay, first up though, we've got a piece by Adam Weller.
This thing's cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's got a very World of Warcraft kind of Chris York feel.
I feel like somebody shortchanged him on his axe handles.
Right.
I feel like they should be a little longer.
Absolutely. It does feel like they'd be quite dangerous, particularly with those like blades on the back there. And the way you want to hang on to those. But no, beautiful work there, Adam. I think your volumes on the musculature, particularly.
Yeah, I'm jealous of people who can do skin like that. Like it's just.
The skin tones on this are great. Like if you didn't know he was an orc, you're like, this is clearly a drow on steroids. This is a drow on the juice. And he is like gotten up to no good.
Yeah.
He's on like elf growth hormone or whatever the equivalent would be.
There we go. Dave Hummel says maybe he throws them. Maybe he throws them.
Maybe.
That could be it. Yeah. It still feels really dangerous.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, beautiful work there, Adam. Look great.
I think it's awesome.
Awesome. Steve H has joined us in the chat as well. It says, love from the Northeast Warmaster.
Hey,
Nice.
Steve, I know that guy.
Excellent. Welcome, Steve. Next up, Alan Borthwick. Alan's been in the chat with us tonight. Took some more photos of his Eliminator squad.
Oh yeah, this is his custom chapter. I forget what they're called.
The Doomfarers.
Yeah, nice.
Doomfarers. But no, these look great. I do love that sort of desaturated blue-gray.
Yeah.
It's almost like somebody mashed a White Scar and a Space Wolf together.
They kind of look like Emperor's Warhounds. They're like they're the Proto Legion before they turn into the World Eaters.
Okay. Yeah. I think if it was less blue, I'd definitely be feeling that.
Yeah,
but,
these are great.
But
Some good looking white. So bright.
Yeah, it is super crisp, isn't it? But yeah,
I also like that he's got the heat damage on the melt the lances.
Yep. Metal guns there. Yep. Another great, nice one. Amos has been painting up some more mech stuff.
Yeah, that's an Annihilator.
The Annihilator.
Is that 6 mil?
No, that's I mean, technically BattleTech is like a 6 mil game, but this model is basically about it's about the size of a Terminator, maybe a little bit bigger.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Some infantry. Some awesome.
That's the one he painted up as on the back left.
Right. Yep. What about these guys here? What's the story? I didn't realize
those are called elementals. Those are called elementals. The nickname for them in the Inner Sphere is Toads. They're basically Space Marines.
Okay. Excellent. At some point, you'll have to explain why toads, but we'll.
Yeah. But it's because they jump.
Oh, okay. Radio. They're sort of hopping across the battlefield.
Yeah, you see, like he painted like the jump jets. They have jump packs.
Oh yeah. I see the jump packs, but I just wasn't getting the toad reference. As an Australian, when somebody says toad, I think cane toads, and it's like that's a whole different context. But no, looking great there, Amos. Super cool. Excellent. Next up, Caitlin. Haven't seen anything from Caitlin for a while because she's been working on her
This whole army, apparently.
yes, this whole army is hundreds of models for Gene Stealer Cult. So Caitlin took this along to Armies on Parade, which was on in local Games Workshop stores over the weekend, and this was her local in Pennsylvania. And under the side of it,
Yeah, there's a couple holes in the side where like they're coming out. She has lights and stuff.
yep,
That's sweet.
It's really cool.
Got to shout out that Wayland Yutani logo that was in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Very, very nice. And did the show proud. Won best army on display.
Yeah, there we go. This is the next one. So got the gold award there for the Armies on Parade. So absolutely awesome. Beautiful work there, Kate. Looks great. Next up, Cal. Cal's been painting some more Chaos Demons on the left there. And I think he said that the terrain on the right is from Future Proof Terrain.
Okay, that's a cool piece.
Yeah.
That could be Mordheimy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
A little crypt action. It's got some multi-level effect, so you could be on top of it and jump on a guy.
Does it open? Does it open?
I'm assuming it does. It looks like it's two pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's two pieces there.
That's sweet.
But yeah,
You said future proof.
Future Proof Terrain. Yeah, I think they might even have a Kickstarter running at the moment. But I have seen their stuff recently.
It's
But,
nice looking.
Oh yeah, these guys think Lego, but wargaming. I've seen ads for this.
Yep.
It's like click it together.
Excellent. Yeah, Cal says there's many modular pieces. So
That's sweet.
yeah, looks great. Nice work there, Cal. So more will be coming. Chris Gorka.
Very
painting
nice.
some,
Nice.
So yeah, this great some Skaven engines here.
He's got some wordstone right there.
Yep.
Right in front of him.
Great work on the copper, like all the metal effects on the globe, and then like the
Yep.
chassis of the weapon, like really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, just really nice subtle weathering.
Yeah.
Looks
I love his super pink tail.
right. Yep. It looks great. Nice work there, Chris.
That's awesome.
It's excellent. Cal says that's disgusting. Excellent. Owen says, "Ooh, I'd love to see more Morka from Gorka."
Very nice.
Excellent. Chris Kemig. I wonder if Chris is painting this up for his next Heresy event, but the Calidus Assassin there.
Yeah. She's great.
I haven't seen this one.
That's the current one. That's the new plastic.
Ah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, it does. She does look great. I love the basing as well.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
part of the kit, but Chris has done an excellent job painting that.
Yeah.
Nice one.
You don't see a lot of power swords that color.
Oh, yeah,
Usually
her
see some
Satan
blue
face
ones.
sword.
Yeah, because it's got that Necron connection
Ah.
with the green
That's
blade.
cool.
Yeah, it looks really good. Nice work, Chris.
Yeah, it looks great. This
Sulin.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah, Sulin's been doing some work on this. A little bit more work. I think last week we saw the sun that had been painted on there, but he's moved on to working on the plasma up in there, the warp fire thrower.
Very cool.
You got the runes on there. That's sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the script work.
Whenever I try script work like that, it does not turn out that good. Yeah, you got some good steady hand in there.
Yeah, he's got some mad skills.
The serrated sun on the shoulder with the tonality is amazing. Like he actually painted it in from like dark to light, so you get those effects. It's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it does match everything beautifully there. But no, awesome stuff. And also he showed off some micro detailing on some Mechanicum stuff that he's working on.
Very nice. That lens is great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Just a couple little scratches, a different light different color paint to make it look like light effects is just it's daunting. I don't want to say it's not easy, because it is still a technique, but I know so many people that are terrified of even attempting this, and I'm like, it's not super hard. You just gotta like put little dots of color and like layer it up and do a slash, like, but people are terrified of doing this. But Sulin obviously did an amazing job, and this is applied the right way. But such a cool effect. I just wish more people would try stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But beautiful work there.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it completed.
Yeah.
Jeff Smith.
Good man.
He was super
Good
excited.
man.
He's got his whole. This is his whole Warpaint's Fanatic range. Got it all in place. He sent a couple of other photos as well. He ran out of storage, so he needs to get some more of these storage centers. But yeah,
Very nice.
fantastic. Looks great having those triads all set up.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, beautiful work.
Jeff, for like $1,000, I can just send you a whole rack. Like I can send you the actual branded Army Painter rack if you want.
Right, with 6 of each paint in the rack.
Well, I mean, for $1,000, no. If he wants to pay full price, I'll send him the whole rack.
Awesome. But yeah, nice one, Jeff. Thanks for sending that in.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah.
John Steining has been painting up some more. So these are 13 millimeter. I think these are Carthaginians.
Love that.
Nice.
Been working on. I'm not sure exactly what the story is with the the pseudo stick figures. Whether that's historically accurate or John's preparing for something there.
I have no idea.
But they're looking good. And his African elephants as well. Or the
cool.
the earlier breed of elephant.
Yeah, these are the North African elephants.
North African elephants.
Which no longer exist.
No longer exist. But they were smaller than the actual. I think they're smaller than Asiatic elephants.
Mm.
But yep, again, he said he's going to have 12 of these in his army. But
Nice.
yeah, looking good there.
Yeah.
Nice work. I love that. Just the work, the shading work with the on that gray. It's looking excellent. Beautiful work there, John.
Those are super cool.
Nice one. Oh, sorry, I left this in from last week.
Yeah, we showed this off last week.
We did. Moving right along. Awesome. Kelly's painted up Daredevil. Yeah.
Yep.
Hooray.
Very nice.
But yeah, looking good there. I love the work that he did on the D's on the chest.
Yeah.
The way he made those stand out.
He's a cool model.
That is cool. Is that a plastic bit? That wraparound?
Yeah, the whole
It
thing is
must
a
be.
plastic kit.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, this is from the Marvel Crisis Protocol range. But yeah, looking good there. Has there been any more news about the Daredevil series? Weren't they talking about a Daredevil show?
Well, the original one's out. They're supposedly going to do a new one, or like a sequel.
Oh, okay.
Because
I thought they were maybe going to do a series rather than a movie.
well, they did. There's a series that was originally on. I forget who did the original one. The original series is phenomenal, and then when they kind of rebranded everything and they decided to change everything over, people were really nervous. They were going to like recast it, and they decided to. They signed them all, and now I believe you can watch all those on Disney Plus.
Okay,
and they're fantastic.
there we go. Kelly's saying early 2025. Daredevil Born Again. Out not too long from now. 18 parts.
That's awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. Steve's right. It was originally on Netflix. It was a Netflix series, and then after the whole merger and all the repurchasing and stuff, now it's back on Disney Plus.
Okay,
But it's phenomenal. It's absolutely worth watching.
cool, excellent, nice one. Great work there, Kelly. It looks cool. Luis is working on a Space Wolf Lieutenant.
Yeah, killing it.
Some good detail. Dang.
Yep.
Yeah. Luis is a sadist. Every time I see the
sub assemblies.
the sub assemblies, it's just like, dude. I mean, I love him, and Luis is in here. He knows that I love him, but like every time I see him, it's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I want to know how many layers of yellow that is, because that is wow. It's good,
isn't it?
It's good.
That looks great.
Yeah, that's really
Awesome.
nice.
Nice work there, Luis. Mick Palazzi painted this up for a friend of his.
Yeah, he said it's for a sign or something.
Yeah. So looks pretty.
Comrade, wild. I guess Comrade Duck or whoever this is. Like,
I'm not sure, but he does look super cool. But Mick's from Australia, so thanks very much for sending that all the way through the internet tubes. Yeah.
Shouldn't it be upside down if it's from Australia?
Fun? Yeah. He'll be awake. For sure. He's probably at work.
Nice.
Excellent. There we go. Luis says that yellow is airbrush over white.
Yep.
It's
crisp. It's good stuff.
Very nice.
Absolutely. But yeah, nice work, Mick. Patrick showed off his novitiates.
Yeah, these are great.
These are cool.
Painted. So yeah, these are from a Kill Team box. I think, did the unit make it into the Sisters of Battle Codex?
I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's cool. They have auto guns.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, because they're not sisters yet. They're like scouts.
Oh, they're like acolytes or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
So I got the auto pistols and the auto gun there. Well spotted. I hadn't noticed that, I must admit.
This is a great scheme. I like the scheme a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good colors.
Yeah, they look awesome.
But yeah. And as Steven says, yeah, they definitely look battle worn. Beautiful work, Patrick. Nice one.
Scott did Mysterio.
I was really hoping, Jake, that you would say, "Hey, Dave, who's this?"
Oh, did you know who it was?
Yeah, because in the caption he said I painted Mysterio.
Oh, okay.
But Scott painted this up during the stream last week. So
I loved it. My favorite thing about Mysterio are that his sort of vambrances are Chinese lanterns.
Okay.
Like they literally they look just like Chinese lanterns. Like that's what he's wearing on his forearms. It's awesome.
Crazy.
His powers are great. So I think he's like a former either movie or stage like illusionist. And what he does is he literally does like close deception. So he uses like smoke machines and effects and like hypnotism and all kinds of stuff to create artificial environments to confuse everybody. That's what he does. And then while that's happening, he's doing sleight of hand to like steal the thing that he wants.
Right. So this is Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah, in the movie, they really changed a lot of what he does in the movie. They made him more of like a superhero, like using tech to do it. Like drones and stuff like that. But in the original comics, it's all like he's a magician, basically.
It's all sleight of hand, right?
Yeah.
Now, as you were describing it was like, oh yeah, that's just like in that one movie with the thing. But no, it looks great there, Scott.
He looks awesome.
Really nice. Excellent. And Steven painted up these trolls.
Cave trolls?
Yeah, I think they're cave trolls.
Okay.
But yeah, they've got a great. The guy in the middle has that. What's the monkey? It looks like that. Is that a gibbon?
Yeah, a little bit. They're a little gibbony.
Gibbon look. But yeah, you're right, Cal. Steven is trolling us.
Also, good skin on these.
You know what these look like? These look like the Harryhausen, claymation trolls. That's what they look like.
Right. Yeah.
Like someone's like the next photo is he slightly moved them all. Like that's what the next photo is.
Right. But yeah. The Thunderbolt. Josh says they look like the Thunderbolt Mountain miniatures cave trolls.
Top iron pieces.
Yeah, there we go.
The Ralpartha Legacy sculpts.
I can see that.
Yeah,
they're cool.
But nice work on those, Stephen. And Stephen has also painted up this excellent dragon.
Yeah, he's been finding all these old school, like the old school, like Grenadier and Ralpartha, like dragon sets,
They're
which
sweet.
are literally just like 4 chunks. It's 4 slabs of metal in a box, you know, glued together, hopefully, and then like painted them up. Oh, they're amazing.
Oh, there we go. So they're Ralpartha Legacy and seems originally they were Thunderbolt Mountain miniatures.
Oh, so you guys are both right.
That was correct as well.
Ah,
Well done. You guys know your ancient minis.
Yep, for
That is
sure.
sweet.
Yep, and we're totally here for that. But no, beautiful work there, Stephen. And I think, this guy is a somewhat resculpted Grenadier model. But yeah, I think this might be our the last mini that we've got from the community, which means that just quickly next week we'll be talking to Owen Rera from about Sunshard Embrun. So we're going to go from a 25-year-old game talking about a completely new game. Owen doesn't quite look like this. Owen doesn't.
Oh, that's not him. Okay.
He doesn't have the horns. So, but otherwise identical.
He's in grayscale.
Yeah. He's just waiting for somebody to paint him.
So he has a new website. I believe it's Broshard. That's all their. Going to be all the articles that come out and all the updates will be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yes, definitely join us next week. We'll be talking with Owen about Sunshard Embrun, which is a game that he and a friend of his have been working on for probably the last 4 years. And it is going to be going to Kickstarter in October, so this month. So we'll get to check that out, find out a little bit more about it. I've got some minis here that I'm going to try and get painted up. We saw Owen.
So for next week, Dave will have a whole Sunshard army fully painted and ready to go. We'll show you guys that stuff next week.
I don't know if I will, but these are some of the sort of the crystalline beasties.
Oh yeah, you showed me these when we were at
Cool.
At Nova.
Nova.
Yeah.
Were they at Nova?
Owen was at Nova doing some demos in the sort of in the demo alley kind of area. But yeah, definitely very cool there. So we're excited to talk to Owen about that. We'll get to talk about the lore, the artwork, the rules,
For sure.
all that sort of fun stuff. But yeah, so
Dave, thank you so much. Dave said, "Thank you, Dr. Mordheim. Thank you, outstanding work, everyone. Be safe."
Awesome. So Tori, that was it's definitely super cool having you on the show. Thank you very much for that.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
If you haven't changed all of your social media handles to Dr. Mordheim by now, like I don't know what you're waiting for.
I don't know if I want to confuse people with me being a doctor.
Well, it's PhD. It's not medical doctor.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
MD.
that's true. Yeah, Mordheim guy, PhD.
Yeah.
Retrofitted.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're like, listen, I have not spent 17 years supporting a dead game to be called Mister.
Well, yeah. Well, of course. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, it was fun to chat about it as always.
Yeah, that's cool. So just like our intro, we'll be putting you on mute, but hang out and we'll have a chat.
Yeah, hang out for a minute. We'll catch up afterwards.
So,
A huge thank you to everybody coming on. Like Duran, thank you so much for being here. It was awesome talking about Mordheim. Thanks to our community for all the stuff you guys have posted. Anybody who's listening to this, if you're like streaming it or if you're listening to us online, make sure you try to share this somewhere and tell folks about it. Make sure you guys do all the things, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, post a comment. It helps us out. Post your stuff next week. We'll do this again at the end of the show, like we always do. We'll show off new stuff from the community page. I'm hoping to see some of the stuff that we posted. Granite State, there were some miniatures that some folks took home. They were going to hopefully take some photos of, so maybe we'll see some of those. But again, a huge shout out again to Army Painter. We appreciate you guys supporting us. Make sure you guys check out their new products. And if you guys need anything, hit us up on our Facebook page. Dave and I will answer questions if we can. But until next time, stay safe and do not forget to build, paint, play.